OCPS Alumni Network Conversations, where we celebrate, connect, convene. Brought to you by the Foundation for OCPS.
Welcome to OCPS Alumni Network Conversations, where we celebrate, connect, and convene with the voices that shaped and are still shaping Orange County today. I'm your host, Candace Johnson, and today, for this episode, we have another OCPS celebrity, Mayor Jerry Demings. I am just so honored to be sitting here with you today to talk about your OCPS journey, and I am also an alum. You are an alum of Jones High School. You've had an incredible journey here as a servant leader in our community, and we just love to sort of learn a little bit more about how that started. So tell us a little bit about maybe some of your, we could start small, what are some of your favorite OCPS memories as a kid coming up that really helped pave the way for where you headed and where you are today?
First, let me just say thank you, Candace, for inviting me on the show today. As I think back over my 12 years within the Orange County Public School System, I go all the way back to elementary school. One of the most memorable things that I had the opportunity to do in elementary school was to be a school safety patrol.
Oh, we all love that.
Wearing that orange belt and my badge gave me the first opportunity where I felt like I had some authority.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. I know that I was pretty excited about putting my hat in that ring. I didn't get it, and I was pretty upset about that. But so that paved the way for obviously what you're doing today. It was just that seed that got planted. How did it get watered from there?
That was my first opportunity to be somewhat in a leadership role. From there, I had great teachers in Orange County Public Schools. When I first started school here, the schools were segregated. And by the time I got to the sixth grade, they started desegregating the schools at that time. So it was not until the sixth grade in which I first had a teacher who was not the same color as I. But as we moved forward, I got to love all of those teachers who poured into my very existence. I learned something from all of them. And to this day, I reflect back on my journey in life. I couldn't be who I am today without those teachers, those coaches, those mentors who poured into my life in addition to my parents.
So go ahead and give me an example of how your high school career shaped your path today.
In high school, I was elected as vice president of my student class. And as a result of that, that was my first opportunity to represent other people. But also I served as editor to the school newspaper, and I was on the school yearbook staff.
Wow.
That gave me the opportunity to interact with the business community. And to this day, I continue to work with my class and help to organize and coordinate our various high school reunions.
So junior achievement. I know junior achievement had a role in developing even more leadership in your life, skills in your life. How did that sort of fit into all of this and who you are today?
When I was a student at Jones High School, I also was a member of the Junior Achievement Association here within the greater Orlando area. I actually started my very first business as a student. My brother and I have a twin brother. His name is Terry. So the two of us, while going through junior achievement, started a company called JAMCO, JAMCO, which stood for Junior Achievement Management Company.
Wow.
And we manufactured some little planters, and we bought wholesale plants and put into the planters, and we sold them. So we had to understand the cost of the goods that we were selling, what the profit margin would be, so that we could make money from sales. And so that kind of was a predicate for me to go into business and ultimately get a degree in finance and accounting, and then to go on and get a master's in business administration.
Wow. So when was it that you knew that you were less interested in accounting and more what was that tipping point, that moment where you said, I really need to serve? Like, this is my next step?
When I was in college at Florida State University, there were recruiters from the federal law enforcement services that were on campus looking for individuals with finance and accounting backgrounds to become criminal white-collar types of investigators with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, with the Secret Service, and with some of the others. And I interviewed with several of them during my tenure at Florida State University. So they piqued my interest. But when I graduated from college, the federal government went into a hiring freeze. And my first job after college was working as an accountant, doing audit work. I traveled the country doing what I was doing. But at some point, I always had in the back of my mind the thought about going into federal law enforcement. And a recruiter suggested that I go to a local law enforcement agency and get some local experience while they were in a federal hiring freeze. And I did that. I applied to the Orlando Police Department. Obviously, I got hired, and I intended to only stay for maybe a year, and then I would move on to the federal government. A year after being employed by the Orlando Police Department, I found out that I really loved the job that I was doing. And the federal government called me and offered me the opportunity to go to work for them. It would have required me to move from my community, but I found out that I really loved what I was doing, and I turned down that job. Later in my career, while I was a deputy chief of police with the Orlando Police Department, I had the opportunity to go to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia,
That's so cool.
Learn from law enforcement executives from around the world.
Wow, that's incredible. I think that's something every kid kind of dreams of that has any sense of adventure in them, period.
Yes.
Wow. So so you went, and then what happened next?
I went to the academy, I graduated, and I returned back here to Orlando. And shortly after returning to Orlando, that was 1997, in 1998, I was appointed as the 34th chief of police here in Orlando, and the first person of African descent who served in that role. And what a privilege it was for me to serve in my community where I was born and raised as chief of police.
Wow, that is incredible. I'm so honored to be sitting here with someone who's, and of course you have to show up to the reunion because you're going to help us break that record too.
I look forward to showing up for the reunion. This is my class ring from Jones High School.
Wow.
I have been wearing this class ring for 50 years now. And even though I've graduated from a number of other institutions since then, the foundation for who I am was established at Jones High School. And so I'm immensely proud to be a Tiger, a Jones High School Tiger.
I know they're proud too.
Yes.
For sure. So, let's get to teachers, okay? I know I have my favorites. We have those ones that sort of stand out that along the way kind of just planted a seed that we just couldn't ignore, and now here we are, who we are, right? What teachers have made, or teacher has made the biggest impact on who Jerry Demings is today?
There are many teachers. All of them had an impact on me in different ways, but we don't have enough time to go through all of them. So I'll highlight just a couple of them. One was my third grade school teacher, still alive today. Her name is Mrs. McLeese. Now, in school, we didn't know the teacher's first name, so I'm just going to say Mrs. McLeese.
Of course.
But she is about 90 years old now. Oh. And I remember her because I was sitting in her classroom when I was about 9 years old when we got the news that Dr. King had been assassinated. And as children, I remember we were all crying, didn't quite understand why it had touched us in the way that it did. But that moment will stick with me forever. Another teacher that had a major impact on me was my band director, a gentleman by the name of James Wilson. In this community, many people refer to him as Chief, Chief Wilson. That is what the students, that's what the community referred to him as Chief. And so he reminded me He was at my swearing in when I became chief of police in Orlando. And he says, "You're not the first chief. I'm the first chief."
Oh.
And I said, "Chief, I'll let you have it." But I was in the jazz band at Jones High School. And at that time, I played lead guitar. And it was just a humbling experience because all of the teachers were much more than teachers. They were mentors, they were father figures, they were mother figures to all of us. And I could talk about many of them who helped to formulate the person who I am today.
It really is incredible. I mean, I know my journey was very special and yours is too. And it's just so fun to sit here and have these meaningful conversations about how OCPS has helped shape who we are today. And honestly, I wouldn't be sitting here, me, if it wasn't for many of those wonderful teachers. It's just so interesting to sit across from you and know that Jerry Demings had the same experience, you know?
Yes.
So is there a lesson or piece of advice from a teacher that you still carry with you today?
Yes, there is a piece of advice that I give to others, youth today, for example. A teacher told me once, who happened to have been also a minister, a licensed minister. She said, "Pray first, aim high, and stay focused." Because life's a journey. And if you don't aim high, then you won't reach your full potential.
Absolutely.
And she also said, if you lose focus, sometimes you'll never get back on the path to greatness. And so I remembered those words, pray first, aim high, and stay focused. And so whenever I've had the opportunity to speak at a graduation, from graduations with children completing kindergarten to those getting their doctoral degrees, I've always suggested that same message to all of them.
And that's wise. I mean, I was born a dreamer, right? I can't help myself. I think big. Go big or go home. You know that you have a vision for that. You have excitement for that. You have the courage to do that because that's a bar that you set, right? And that's what's so fun about these kids,
Yes.
you know, is they're just so easy to motivate whenever you give them hope and vision and permission to reach another level, to do something unexpected, to do something that their community hasn't done yet or isn't doing yet. And that's one of the reasons why it's such an honor to be here sitting with you today.
You know, it's kind of interesting. You say dream big. Many of my teachers said to us, dream big, reach for the stars. My wife and I like to say that we reach for the stars. As chief of police, I got to wear 4 stars. As sheriff, I got to wear 4 stars. And my wife is a rarity as well. She, so far, is the only woman to have served as chief of police in Orlando. Wow. So here we are in this family, both of us. When I was the sheriff, she was the chief of police, wearing 4 stars. And we would say to the children, we first had to see ourselves in those positions, and perhaps others had to see us in those positions as well.
Absolutely. It all comes together, you know.
It does.
So what advice would you give to seniors preparing for life beyond high school?
What I would say to seniors who are preparing for life after high school is, remember that life is a journey. You do have to plan for that journey. Just like when you leave your home every day and you're en route to some other place, you have to think through, how am I going to get there? What are the things I have to do? Failure to plan is a plan to fail. So if you want to be successful, have a plan. Have a plan of action that is flexible to allow you to get to
like
the place you
hiring
want to be.
freeze,
Yes.
right? So as these things happen, hiring freeze, right?
Yes.
If that didn't happen, maybe Orlando would have lost you to a whole other community, and where would we be, right? So which accomplishments in your career are you most proud of?
I've had a wonderful career, and so there are many accomplishments, if you will. I've had the privilege of meeting kings and queens and presidents of the United States and celebrities, right down to people who are homeless on the streets. And to me, I look at all of them somewhat the same. I have this opportunity to serve. If I had to look at my career and say, are there moments that I'm most proud of? I've been in life-saving measures where I know because of the actions that we took, we saved someone's life. But then my parents, they've both gone on to glory, but haven't seen them live long enough to see their son sworn in as chief of police,
Wow.
sworn in as sheriff, sworn in as mayor.
Wow.
It was just a phenomenal opportunity for me to pay it forward, to reward them for the hard work that they put in to make certain that we could achieve. But then I can tell you, I wrote a book recently,
Wow.
and the title of the book is Believe, Faith, Truth, and the Courage to Lead. I wrote the book in the summer of 2025. It took me about 30 days to write the book. It became the #1 bestseller on Amazon. Believe, faith, truth, and the courage to lead. Because faith plays so much of a role in my life, positioning me to the point where I had the courage to lead, positioning me to where I had the opportunity to believe that as a poor kid growing up in West Orlando, that I could do some extraordinary things as an ordinary human being and touch the lives of people, to make a difference in saving lives, to make a difference in our community, to have the kind of broad-based influence that I've had now for decades. I have started my 45th year of public service.
Wow.
And I feel so humbled by it because I'm walking in my passion. Sometimes people never reach their full potential because they don't really walk into their passion. So the book really is about using my example of how, I'm going to say it like this, God used me sometimes without my permission for
Absolutely.
a greater cause. And there is no greater cause, I think, than to be of service to other people.
I agree. There's just nothing more rewarding. And
Yes.
and the fact that we get to have the kids watch you right now talking about your journey and maybe seeing a little bit of themselves in you, right? Is just such an honor and a privilege that we get to share a little bit of you and your story with all
Yes.
of them. So I hear you have an opportunity where kids can actually get to know you a little better. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. My father passed in January of 2023, and he was almost 101 years old.
Wow.
When he was 100, I brought my father into my office. As mayor, that was the first opportunity that my father had ever been in a mayor's office, and he was 100 years old, and it just happened to have been his son. I didn't get a chance to go into a mayor's office until I became deputy chief of police. So I've been on a mission. I invite children, when we do an open house, to come in to the mayor's office. So if there's a child in the county administration building, I invite them to come to my office, sit behind my desk, and dream.
Absolutely.
I wish that I'd had that opportunity as a child. I didn't have that opportunity because sometimes a child has to dream. All of us do. We have to see ourselves in places where perhaps we want to be that we've never been before, influencing the world around us in ways that perhaps we never even thought of. But each one of us who is of service, selfless service, where we don't make life about ourselves, but we make it about the people around us.
Absolutely.
I believe that there's no more rewarding feeling than that. When you give back and do things in ways that perhaps you don't get paid to do, but
Yes.
you truly touch the lives of people.
Absolutely. I mean, with kids, it's really about exposure, permission, right? I mean, if an adult, a prestigious adult, somebody they look up to, looks at them and says, there's just no reason why this can't be you one day, if that's what you want, right? Even that is just monumental. and what can happen in that young person's life.
In life, even when you have success, never forget that sometimes your success reminds other people of their failures. And you have to encourage the other people as well,
Absolutely.
that you too can do it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
enough to go around.
Some kids are hearing that conversation, but really taking that to heart, and with social media out there and everything, it's just, I think it's important for even those extremely driven kids to understand that they need to cut themselves a break. you
Yeah.
know.
Every successful person has had some failure.
Many.
That's just the way it works.
It's character building. I believe that pain equals growth
Yes.
when you allow it, when you look for it, when that's the conversation that you're trained to have or learn to have along the way. So,
And you know, that's the beauty of Orange County Public Schools. You know, most of the nation's children will go to public schools and they'll meet all types of people in that process. And so I'm forever grateful that Orange County Public Schools has grown to be this school that is inclusive, not exclusive, but a school for people from all walks of life who have done extraordinary things. There are some graduates through the OCPS Alumni Network who help tell their stories about it. And so this is why I'm here today, to kind of help talk about my experience. Hopefully that can motivate someone else to do even better.
and that's why we're here, and that's what it's all about, right? This is where we celebrate, connect, and convene with alumni that are here to help the next generation see who they are, shape who they are, and give permission for those next chapters in their life. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in today and sharing your story with us. I know that we're all honored to have you here, and I'm sure this is something an episode we'll be watching over and over again, just getting motivated and inspired to see a little bit more in ourselves. And honestly, I can't wait to read your book. So if I could get an autograph at some point, just let me know.
Absolutely.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing you at that reunion too.
I look forward to being there.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
I know you're busy, so you better
2026.
mark it now.
Yes.
This isn't just a conversation, it's a movement. If you're an alum, a student, parent, educator, volunteer, or community partner, join us. Celebrate, connect, convene. Text OCPS alum to 41444 and click on the reply link. It's so easy and it's free. Remember to tune in for our next conversation as we continue our OCPS celebrity episodes. Until next time, enjoy your day and take your place in the OCPS story.